guys. How's it going? Old folks and new folks. um, you ready to roll? All right. Um, Thanks for coming. Before we get started, I just wanted to say one thing and thank somebody and Martin Mayhew. And Martin has decided to retire, and I can't say enough great things about him. He spent 26 years in the NFL. I first met him. The first time I ever had any correspondence with him, I was at UCLA, and I wrote letters to all the front office people in the NFL. And one guy got back to me. It was Martin when he was with the Lions, and it was really cool. And never got to meet him until I got to San Francisco. And he was a great coworker, great confidant, great friend, and he's 26 years in the NFL. He's dedicated a lot of his life to this franchise as a player and then as a GM. Also got his law degree at Georgetown, which is pretty impressive. And for the last a little over a year, when I got here, he was one of the first people that I really wanted to keep and work with. And I was lucky enough that he wanted to stay. And we couldn't have done what we did last year without him. He was instrumental in everything we did in terms of the draft, free agency. He made a lot of big deals in free agency, and he was just a great friend, great confidant, just a great person. And so just wanted to thank him for all he's given to this franchise and this league, and he will be missed. But just wanted to say how much I appreciate him. We talk about commanders a lot. He's a true commander. So with that, I'll take some questions and let's get rolling. Yeah, we're still looking into that right now, Nikki. Nothing. We don't have anybody earmarked for that exact role. But he does leave a big hole in terms of the front office. He did a lot of things for us, and he's a person I leaned on a lot. So we'll look to fill that in, whether it's immediately or in the future, like after the draft or something. We're still working through that. Yeah, that is true. We have done that, and with John, he's another person who's been a great commander, a great person for this franchise, and he's going in the last year of his deal, and wanted to give him and his representation, Blake Baratz, who's a really good agent. They just talked about it and said wanted to be able to explore opportunities, and so we let them do that, and we're staying in contact with them nearly every day. Just texted with them this morning, and really everything's still on the table in terms of whether it's a trade or staying here or whatever. So we're through that. It's kind of early in the stages. We haven't done a lot of exploring yet, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We haven't really set any deadlines. We're just going to stay in contact, and we'll meet with him. He'll be here later this week, and Blake will, and so we'll reconvene there. But I think that the two main things is we're always going to do what's best for our organization, but we also want to do right by John too, and so those things are important to us. Yeah, that's a great question, and we always want to build through the draft, and we'll continue to do that. But in the situation we're in, we got 28 free agents. I think it's 28. So we got a lot of holes again on our roster in terms of players that played really well for us last year. So we'll be active in free agency because we have to be just to field the team. But a lot of those we'll look to bring a lot of the guys we had back from last year and then build off of that. Sorry, you're talking at the same time. Really high. We're with Marshawn, I spoke about it at the end of the year, and he came into a tough situation, and he competed his his tail off, and he's the type of guy we want on the field, and we're really excited to have him in this offseason and build with him. I'll get you next. Yeah, I think every team has those guidelines. I think just about all 32 teams have that, like a kind of a standard for what they want at each position. But there's always exceptions, and you know, when you stray from that, it just depends on the position, the person, the player, and everything like that. I think a great example of that is Mikey Sanderstill last year, who I think as a corner, obviously you want a 6'2" corner who's quick as a cat and runs a 4.3, and but those guys don't really exist unless you're like top 5 pick of the draft. So a guy like Mikey defies those standards and plays bigger than he is, and so he's one example. But there's thousands of examples around the NFL of guys that don't fit in those parameters but are still excellent NFL players. That's a lot. It feels a lot better than last year. So no, it's we're thrilled to have Jaden and couldn't be happier with his first year, and know he's going to keep getting better and better because not only that's what people do, but that's because of who he is, and he's always going to try to improve himself, and he's his own toughest critic, and he's going to do everything he can to maximize everything he has.
Looking at day-to-day movement in the organization as that guy and one that's looking.
Yeah, I think it's a big difference, really. I think you have one or you're looking for one. I think that's pretty established. So we're very happy that we have one.
When you met with Jaden last year, can you talk about that VR when you met with them? Was that a big topic between you guys? Was it curious about you guys and kind of follow through and help them out with that?
Yeah, I think that was really important. Early on, Jaden was the guy we knew we were going to draft, and we started talking with Cognalize, which is the company that we use for the VR, and they're an excellent company, excellent people to work with, and they're very committed to Jaden, which is really cool too. So they've, whenever we've needed anything, they've done a great job of helping us out. So it's a big part of his development. Obviously there's a lot of other things that go into that. It's not just VR, but I think it's a great tool, and he uses it really well, and we'll continue to use that.
Looking at places you've been, including Washington, what value does it add when you have a quarterback you can bounce ideas off and kind of collaborate with as you look for different perspectives?
Yeah, I think with Jaden or any player, it's always good to get the perspective of our players and see what's important to them and their thoughts, because everybody has a different lens on things, and those guys have a really good perspective of what goes on in the locker room, what they need, what they want, and so getting their ideas, whether it be other players or what we can do to improve the facility, which they've given us great input on that, and always having an open dialogue, not just with Jaden but with all our players, is a great thing. Well, it's easier to not need a quarterback, but it's always a challenge every year, and that's why we have a great team. DQ and I talk every day about how we can really improve our team and what's the best way to do that, and we have a great staff to help us with that. But it's going to be a challenge every year, not just last year, not just this year, but next year is going to be a new set of challenges, and really excited that we have a great staff around us to help us.
Adam, what are your thoughts on what you guys do offensively? When you look at Ohio State receivers specifically, is there something that you see differently in what Brian Hartline does and how those guys produce?
Yeah, Brian Hartline's a great coach, and he has been for a long time, and I think he pours his heart and soul into those guys and to getting them ready for the NFL, and a lot of them have a lot of success early on. I know we had a couple of them, and so I think you can ask any team, and they'll say they have a lot of respect for those guys and that staff, and especially him in particular.
Adam, what are your thoughts on the state of the running back? For a number of years, it kind of felt like maybe it was being devalued across the league, and last year we saw teams invest in running backs like the Packers, the Eagles, the Ravens, and an uptick in 1,000-yard rushes. Do you see a trend where the running backs are gaining, a little bit more revival, or was that kind of unique to that?
I think both really. I think they're probably going to be a little more valued, but I think last year was a unique free agent class too, with running backs, where they had some really good players that were out there and available. So I think it'll probably even out. I think they were probably devalued a little bit too much, and I think it'll even out, kind of go back to where it should be. But I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly just because of how good the talent was in the free agent class.
And got time for two more. The perception of the franchise team changed league-wide with the football that you guys had. Did it change anything for you in terms of how you're viewing building this team and how far you guys got in the process?
In terms of the perception, that hasn't really changed how we go about things. I think our principles are the same. We want to bring in great people, great commanders that are going to help us win. So we're proud of how the DMV's rallied behind us, and really, really thrilled about what's to come, and just to see how our fans came out towards the end of the year and really supported us. And I think DQ's talked about it, but some of those games they really the players feel it. They really do. The Falcons game in particular, and so really proud of that. Really happy for that, and had a lot of people that I know that grew up in the DMV and have reached out and said how happy they are. So that's something that I think we're all proud of, and we have a lot to thank. We have Josh to thank for that, and DQ and his staff, and so we're going to do whatever we can to keep making those people proud.
Both you and head coach Dan Quinn give a heavy weight to the person as much as the player. So after the success last year, is there any part to where you think the roster and the locker room is matured enough where if you needed to bring somebody in who may have a little bit of red flags or question marks on the character side of things, you guys feel like you guys do that?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on, and that was one of the coolest things when we were going through this process last year, when I really got to know DQ and we saw everything, we're really aligned on everything, and that is a big thing for us, and finding the right people, and that's not just players, that's support staff, coaches, everybody. So that's always going to be at the core of what we do, and I've been a part of teams that when you start sacrificing that, then it usually doesn't work. And so, we've set out and really, I think what's really cool is in our exit interviews this year, we talked to a lot of players, and one of the biggest things that they hit on was we liked all the people you brought in, the players and the commanders and the competitors, and so don't lose sight of that. So we heard that from our players, we felt it ourselves, so that's always going to be at the core of what we do, and there may be an exception here or there, or you make a mistake, and that not on purpose, but that's going to always be at the core of what we do.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate
All
it.
right, thanks guys.
You guys had a ton of success last year, a lot of veteran free agents, one-year deals. How different does your outlook to free agency come in this year, where you want to get some of those guys back, but you got a lot of cap space too?
Yeah, it's the same as last year. We have a little less cap space, but we really operate more off a cash budget, and so cap space and that stuff is always kind of whatever's on the internet. It's not always the case, but I think don't really compare this year to last year, but we just have a lot of free agents, and we still have a lot of holes to fill on the roster. We have, I think, the second least amount of players on our roster in the league right now, so we'll be busy, but we want to spend, on commanders and spend the right way. So that's how we're going to look at it.
How important is it to get a few of those deals done before free agency opens? Some of the guys you've identified as commanders, keep them in-house.
Yeah, certainly you'd like to do that, and we're talking with a lot of those guys right now. It just depends on what they want to do, and if they want to, if we can come to an agreement before free agency. Some guys want to hit free agency and see what their market is. Some guys want to get stuff done right away. The great thing is the culture that DQ created. There's a lot of guys that want to come back, and we've had a lot of really good conversations with that. And so, proud of that. Proud of what DQ's created, and having a lot of guys that want to be commanders.
Tell us which ones want to come back?
When John Allen says, I'd like to seek a trade, and you guys have that discussion, without giving away trade secrets, what goes through the GM's mind and when that takes place?
I think, they're always these kind of decisions and things you have to come up with are always tough, right? And with John, who's been a great player as a commander, as a football teamer and a Redskin, he's been a great person for this franchise for a long time. So you have to weigh in everything, and we looked at internally, and okay, what decision do we want to make that we think is best for the team, but also you want to do what's best for that player. So those are tough conversations to have, but you always want to have them civilly, and we have, and his agent's been really good with us, and look forward to coming to a resolution.
And for you, last year you were a month into the gig.
Yeah.
How much more different do you feel this time around with the success you've had and the quarterback you have?
Well, I didn't even know what a scrum was. Sean said you have a scrum. I was like, oh, what is a scrum? And so then I found out what a scrum was. So it's a lot different. Everything we've done, not everything once, but most everything once. So that's really helpful. But like we said on the podium, having a quarterback is a great thing, and not just a quarterback, but a really, really good one who's an awesome person. So proud of that, and proud of Jaden, what he accomplished, and everything that he's accomplished. He's self-made. He's got two great parents that helped him a lot, and a lot of people that helped him along the way, but he was never given anything. So to have somebody like that leading your franchise is really cool.
Do you feel like you have enough draft capital where if you wanted to make a significant trade, that you would still be able to build to the draft?
Like what? No.
you tell me.
I mean, there's always gonna be trade-offs if you do something like that, and we have 7 picks, and so it's a full allotment. It's not our own 7 picks, but I think it just goes back to Sam just always doing what we think is best for the team.
Does the success of the team and Jaden on a rookie alter the way that you approach this offseason opposed to last year?
Yeah, I think every offseason is different. In terms of last offseason, there was a lot we had to accomplish, and I thought we did a really good job. And this year, I mean, we still have a lot of challenges. So having Jaden is great, obviously, but you still want to build the team the right way with the right type of people.
How does the recovery timeline for Sam Cosmi impact your evaluation of the roster right now?
I don't think it will. I mean, we have so much. We just have a lot of places we have to fill in. So we're going to look at it the same way. Sam's doing an incredible job. He's in there every day already. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, he's in there as much as he can every day. So he's going to attack this rehab and get back as soon as he can. And we're not going to rush him. He had a major surgery, but we know that he'll be back and be a really good player when he comes back. So it's just really more about building the depth there and just a lot of depth around the team.
From year 1 to year 2, what are some lessons you're pulling from last year into this year?
Everything. Everything's a lesson that we've learned, but I think we hit on it over there, but just trying to bring in commanders and the right type of people.
Where do things stand for you as giving our Terry McLaurin extension as far as a priority for you guys this offseason?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get into those conversations, and if we do, those will probably remain private. But first of all, congratulations to Terry on his wedding with Caitlin, and we love Terry. He's a great commander, and we're really looking forward to having him again next year. Yeah.
You've worked with a lot of really good pass rushers at your various stops. You scouted a lot of really good pass rushers. What are your must-have traits for that position, and how they changed at all over the years?
Have they changed? I don't think they each want to be like 6'5" with 36-inch arms